Hey everybody, welcome back to Champnsons and our Champnsons Racing Series, where we are going to be at Texas Motor Speedway for both the Truck Series and Xfinity Racing. But first, we are going to get started off with our Truck Series going. Now, we had a great finish in our last episode at Daytona. We have simulated up to this point, so the other finishes haven't been that most spectacular, but we have gotten our few top 20s in a top 15, so we're making definitely good progress. Now all our money has been poured into Xfinity and kind of getting that crew built up and getting an additional car, so we haven't been able to move up any of the engine or the aero package or suspension or anything like that for the Truck Series yet, so we are holding steady at about a 95 rating on all of those instead of the 100 rating. Now this is a speedway, it's not a super speedway, so we generally have pretty good finishes here, especially when you take a look at the bank turns that exist at this racetrack, which kind of helps us out as far as maintaining these turns. Now one thing about Texas Motor Speedway is this little straight in area, kind of like a little tri-oval section that comes through. It makes getting past and blocking some cars a little bit tougher, and qualifying in the 13th spot, that's going to put us right in the middle of the pack. So you hate to have contact, especially coming through sections like that, to lose control, but it is definitely possible. Now the turns are pretty wide, so I'd expect to see some 3-wide racing at points, but the back straightaway, it seems like it does tighten up a little bit coming out of turn number 2. But either way, we have qualified 13th. Zane Smith is on the pole, and we're going to go ahead and get this track race underway as we have got the green flag and start out here on stage number 1. It is the first lap of 17, so a little bit of a longer stage setting for us. But it gives us a while to try to make up some moves and be a little bit more aggressive here at the beginning. And speaking of 3-wide racing like before, we dive down on the below side of Ankrum and come out in the number 11 position out of turn number 2. As we come into turn number 3, holding our line steady in a P11 spot, moving up from 13th to 11 here, trying to get some spaces gained in this first lap, as we will move up just 2 spots available. Now coming out and into turn number 1, we hit some of the traffic, knowing things are going to slow down a little bit in these turns, but we do drive aggressive, getting into the draft of the cars in front of us. And now we're going to go ahead and dive down below once again, coming out of turn number 2. We got the perfect run going there as we do hit the top 10, and we are in a P7 spot coming into turn number 3. The speed's getting a little much for the setting on our car. It's not the tightest setting, but it's also not super loose, but it does make some of these turns with some of these high rates of speeds diving into them. We got to be careful about it so we don't swing our car or truck out wide. Coming into turn number 1 and out of 2, we now have a P6 position, and we're starting to find ourselves separating just a little bit from the pack behind us. But also, if you look, the pack in front of us is definitely separating out. Zane Smith has been able to snatch up quite a lead on us. As you can see, he's going past the finish line right now. So we've got a ways to go to get ahead. Gilliland is just 1 second ahead. Sauter is about 1.5 seconds, so we got some space to make up, but we do have time to make that happen. We should be coming into lap traffic probably near the end of this stage, which generally works to our benefit, I would say. And now we are going to go ahead and advance to the back part of this stage here. The last couple laps, we're still in a P6 position, trying to chase down Ankrum in front of us. He is about to be lapped. He's in P32. So this is where we have to be careful, right? So we do make the inside move, but if he dove down inside, that's going to be a problem. We're going to end up hitting him. So we have to be careful in that realm. Now, so far, we haven't been able to make the advantage from the lap traffic. If you notice by the little map in the bottom left there, everybody's kind of spread out, which doesn't really, when it comes to lap traffic, doesn't really help us out all that much. We do need these guys to be a little bit clumped together to kind of slow down that front pack. But Zane Smith, he's coming out of turn number 4 right as we are on this back straightaway, coming into turn number 3. So we should be able to take a P6 position barring any major incidents happening here on this lap last lap of stage number 1, as we are going to actually come across in a P6 spot, which, you know, I like being in the top 10. It gives us some stage points, but one thing to watch out for is we're now going to be on the outside when we do the restart instead of down below, which that could hinder us, especially if you look at our right front tire being at just under 70%. All the other tires are pretty good, but we've hammered that right front pretty hard in this first stage. Now, even doing that, we're not going to pit. That would just put us back way too much, and we have to pit, you know, for that third stage anyways. So we do kind of hold on to it and try to trust our tire a little bit as we get stage number 2 underway here. A 14-lap stage this time, as we have got this thing going. Now, like I said, we are on the high side, so we do kind of need to dive down below. But Austin Hill blocks us off, so starting out in P6, not the greatest start, but Hill blocks us, and we're going to kind of shove him down to the inside as we make our move on Sauter. And we get just enough space, but too much speed, so we're not able to maintain the perfect line that we need. However, we are able to squeeze past Sauter. And now we're in a P4 spot behind Gilliland up front. And it looks like Infinger is also up front right behind Zane Smith in the lead. So in a P4 spot now, trying to make up some space, seeing if we can't get a draft partner with us. And right now, no one's really willing to. At this speedway, that would be really beneficial to both cars or trucks. And a lot of them, if we can get that draft going and get that little shove and pull around this track. Now, Austin X decides to get behind us, or I think his name's Austin X. I can see his last name is based on the truck. But after lap number 2, we're in a P4, but we've got a good spot with him behind us. But you notice that's one of the issues is he gives us a little tap, and he ends up sliding up to the top of the track, almost losing control there. And then he comes around and actually blocks us off. That little tri-oval section gave him just the run he needed on us to get around us. And now we're in a P5 position here on the third lap of stage number 2. Coming around back into this tri-oval section, trying to squeeze it in, unable to do so. X actually gets completely past us now and is starting to try to make space. Now coming into turn number 1, we dive up on him just a little bit, but we have to move up to the top because I don't want to ram him. And I have now finally got a draft partner coming in from behind us. Sauter's going to try to give us a push. Not sure how much really it's going to help out. And then coming into this front part, you know, that's always a pain. Coming out of turn number 4, though, we are still in a P5 position. Sauter behind us trying to shove us to the front of the pack as we try to make that turn, and we lose the draft. So we get a little bit of a shot, but we do lose that draft. Now we're going to move on ahead to the ending of stage number 2. The last few laps here, we're in lap 12 of 14, so there's 3 more to go. We are still in a P5 spot. Coming into the lap traffic once again, everything is kind of spread out here as we have just trying to maintain. Right now our tires are kind of shabby, and so we are losing a little bit of our traction coming into these turns, and I think people are going to try to be taking advantage of that. Sauter still behind us here with 2 laps to go. You know, he's probably going to make his run here in the next half lap or so if he's going to try to get around us in stage number 2. But we do have a long stage 3, so patience can pay off, and we're a little bit closer to Zane Smith than what we were at the end of stage 1. If you look at that little map down there, he is only about half a lap ahead of us instead of 3/4 of a lap like before, so we have potential to be able to make the catch. Now here we come around for the final lap of stage number 2. Is we just got to have a good run to make sure we try to seal up this P5 position. Coming out of turn number 2, we're losing a little too much speed. Coming out at 153 miles per hour, we definitely need to be closer to 157 to 160. On the back straightaway, we do pretty good to top out at 170 coming into turn number 3 and out of turn number 4. Not really being challenged by anybody, but looks like Austin Hill trying to come up on us. As we will cross the finish line in stage number 2 in a P5 position. Moved up in the world from P6 to P5, and that's going to give us 6 stage points here at that one. Now we are going to have to pit. So you can see our tires are completely worn out. We have to pit. We need to get some fuel too. So after pitting, we had a pretty good start to stage number 3, but it was a long run. Zane Smith has got a great car. Friesen's got a great truck. Gilliland, Infing, all of them. So they make a pretty good run, and we actually started out in the lead and to start stage number 3, but we have drifted back into a P6 spot, and we're coming off a little yellow flag, caution restart right here. And as we maintain P6, trying to make a run on X with only about 5 laps remaining, as they all dive down into turn number 3 here, trying to get a run going, as we do slightly move into the P5 spot just ahead of X with the main group right there in front of us. This is going to be a tight finish here at the end based off that restart, and we've now cleared X into P5. Friesen in front of us, Gilliland in 4th. And this is a tough group that they are really good at blocking and going too wide. That's going to make things pretty difficult for us as we maintain and slip on the bottom. X is going to make his move, and he's going to try to get back in front of us, but Sauter comes from behind to give us a little bit of a shove. And holding steady right here, coming out of turn number 4. Sauter, still our draft partner, not getting as much of an impact as you would like to have. He does give us a shove and keep us in a P5 spot, but we don't really move up at all. Trying to catch Friesen and Gilliland right there in front of us. We end up coming into turn number 2 and just coming out of turn number 2, just slowing down way too much. So Sauter and X, it looks like they're going to be giving us the biggest amount of trouble here in these final few laps, as Infinger slides up to the top and almost hits the wall up in front of us there. Here with 3 laps remaining, we come out of turn number 4, still in a P5 spot, racing for this top 5 position. Sauter coming up behind, he's in our draft. He's going to give us a shove, but we've got to be careful about that. As we come into turn number 1, still in P5 here, 2 laps remaining at Texas, our home raceway. As we are down this back straightaway, Sauter making his move on the outside. As we keep ourselves down low, kind of losing some control a little bit, getting a little loose in these turns with the tires having worn down some. X gets on our draft and is going to push us up. We're going to have 1 lap remaining, mainly with X as our biggest challenger to a top 5 position. Coming into turn number 1, we're able to dive it down in. X drops out of our draft and out of behind us. Coming out of turn number 2, making a run for Friesen in front of us. Nowhere to go with it. The top lead group pulls away, but X right on our butt, giving us a little push. Coming into turn number 3. He's going to be our main competition. Coming out of turn number 4, as he's right there on our bumper. Coming out of turn number 4, he's right there. Coming into this front tri-oval, he's not going to be able to make his move, and we'll take a P5, top 5 position here at Texas Motor Speedway in our Truck Series. Pretty good finish. We did have the lead for 1 lap at the start of stage number 3, but just weren't able to hold it. We obviously just did not have the best truck today. That's going to happen sometimes. But still maintain a top 5, which is a pretty good finish. Now that's going to set us up this weekend to have the Xfinity race here. Our car it's real expensive to upgrade these cars, to say the least. So we are still operating at about an 80. We have moved our engine up to 80. Our suspension and our aero package is still at a rating of 75. So these races are going to be tough. That we kind of know. But with as many cars that will be on the track, hopefully we can, when it comes to lap traffic, we get some of that clumpiness there, and we're not having to, try to chase cars down, because I don't think we'll be able to all that much. Like, we should be able to be in the middle of the pack in reality. I think that's where our car is right now. We're not a back of the pack car. So I think as long as we can keep ourselves in the middle, we should be able to sustain pretty well. I say we're not a back of the pack car. We beat our goal and we finish qualifying in 27th. Okay. Maybe we're a little bit further back of the pack than what I thought. So it's going to require some aggressive driving here. Austin Hill, Jeff Green just in front of us. But we came in at about 32.5 seconds. The lead, Ross Chastain, having the pole position, came in at about like 30. So we're talking a 2-second difference, which is pretty great. Now this is the Bariatric Solutions 300 that we are going to be getting underway here. This is a longer race, so once again, be patient. We got to be smart about when to make our moves, and just continue to work this car and take the time to get our team built up, understanding where we are in the racing world of Xfinity. Now, with the race underway, stage 1 is going to be 22 laps. Remember, this is Xfinity, so these races are slightly longer. A couple guys had to start at the back due to qualifying issues, so we started out at a P25 spot, and we made the move up real quick coming onto the back straightaway and got into P23, coming into turn number 3. Williams right there in front of us, trying to just edge him out. We dive down too low and come back up and hit Williams, give him a little tappy. Coming out of turn number 4 as we do maintain a P23 position. But cars are actually starting to separate out fairly quickly, which is kind of a nerve-wracking sign for us, because that means we're probably not going to get the grouping that we want, especially later on in these stages. So here on our second lap, we have moved up into P22. We're in the draft of Williams, trying to give him a shove. To clear out some space around us as Nemechek stays up high, and we do get past him for the time being. Coming into the tri-oval section, Nemechek makes a run, and he's going to reclaim his spot as we are now in P22, coming into turn number 1 here as we get up on his bumper and into his draft and see if he can't give us a little help. Martins is going to go around us on the outside, and now it's like a little floodgate is opening up. The outside, everybody's kind of going around us. Jones and Martin squeeze out around us. And now here we come stuck in a P24 spot. We've dropped 2 positions in the last half lap here of this opening stage. So we got to be patient with the car. That's, I think, our biggest thing. Be patient with the car. We don't want to do anything stupid and wreck. We don't want to, try to do too much. Let the car do what it can do. But we have to be aggressive with it as we're here in our 4th lap, and we're now in a P23 spot. I've only moved up 2 spots from where we started at, and it looks like getting beyond this is going to be a little bit difficult here. So coming in at the end of lap number 4, lose a little bit of control coming into the tri-oval, and McLaughlin gives us a little tap on our bumper, which becomes an issue. Now we have moved up into P22 as we come to the end, but we get hit and pushed to the top side of the track by Mills. He is being pretty aggressive, and that's going to be actually multiple times in this stage 1 that he's bumped us and kind of given us a little shove. So we got a couple laps left, and we are in a P23 spot, trying to maintain that solid line of coming into these turns 3 and 4 on this backside to get a good run on any of these cars in front of us. Mills maintaining, though, and coming out of turn number 4, he just kind of shoots ahead of us. Brown is in our draft behind us, but I can't trust him to stay back there. As we come into turn number 1 and 2, he does drop off. We have some damage to our front bumper from trying to, and we hit the bottom of the stupid turn. Coming in, we're being a little too aggressive with our line. We're not being smart enough. Our tires are starting to wear down a little bit at a faster pace even than they did in the trucks. So that is something we're going to have to watch for as we get ready for this last lap of stage number 1 here, moving up to a P23 spot from where we started at P25. Brown trying to get around us as we dive it down to the inside. He's not going to remain on our draft. If he would, we would actually be able to probably pick up a lot more pace. As we do close in on Mills just slightly, though. But coming into this back straightaway, you see he just starts to pull away a little bit, and our car is about as solid as we're going to be in the top 23rd finishing position for stage number 1. I think we can squeeze into the top 20 if we race properly and get some good jumps from the get-go here. Now, our tires I thought were worse. They're really about the same. That means we are pushing ours a little bit harder, though, for a car to have the same amount of tires of a truck to wear down. So, got to keep a watch on that. Now, we do not pit yet. Once again, we know we're going to have to pit after stage number 2. And I don't want to have to pit in the middle of stage number 3. Good Lord, that could set us back, forever. So we don't pit. Now, that does make these turns a little bit more difficult. Makes holding our line a little bit more difficult. As you see, we get a little loose on some of these portions and end up sliding up the track just some. So we have to watch out for that. Being in a P23 spot, I think if we can get the draft to the group in front of us like we kind of have right now with Mills, and everybody kind of stays clumped together a little bit, that'll be better for us and allow us to get a pretty good run going. Now, still in P23, after the first lap of stage number 2, it is a 19-lap stage, so not as long as stage number 1, but it does give us a pretty good amount of time to be able to try to make a move and be patient with how we are racing this car today. So this is our first stop in the Xfinity at Texas Motor Speedway. It doesn't look like our car is really going to be able to get beyond where we're at. So I would still say top 20 is our ideal finishing position, and it would be a pretty good finish for us. Now, after lap number 2, Williams gets up on our bumper. He looks like he was going to try to give us a shove, but he does not stay within our draft here coming into turn number 1. And so he does dive out, trying to get around us, but we kind of stay down and block him aggressively. He taps our bumper, and he's a little bit too close to us. I don't like that feeling of having Williams right there. He seems like he's being a little too aggressive, but hey, he's giving us a shove right now. Being stuck in our draft, he's kind of pushing us up closer to Mills and allowed us to close that gap, and he's actually maintaining control behind us in this little tri-oval section area. As we dive down into the bottom of turn number 1, and we have got a run, he's going to give us a shove past Mills. Now we're in a P22 spot, but he dives down below us, and we go up to block Mills. Williams takes the 22 spot away from us. Mills is right here behind us after lap number 3, and that was kind of a disappointment. We had a run, and I thought we were going to be able to make some space, but they just split out on both sides. We decided to block Mills instead of Williams, and he is off out like a little bullet in front of us. As Mills trying to give us, hopefully he'll stay behind us and give us a shove coming into turn number 1, which he does, but our tires are a little worn, so I slide up to the middle of the lane. Allows us to stay behind him, but he stays down low, and I go to block him, and he's got our hooked bumper, and we hit off one wall, and then he clips us again, and we hit the wall, and that's going to be a do not finish. You've got to be kidding me. Mills wrecks us out on the back straightaway at Texas Motor Speedway. A do not finish position. That is beyond ridiculous. Bariatric Solutions 300 ends in disappointment for us. But it is a long season, ladies and gentlemen. It is a long season ahead. Stay tuned for that. If you did like today's video, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, go ahead and hit that button and the little bell notification for all Champnsons content that we do upload. Racing, football, basketball, we got it all for you. So definitely thank y'all for all the support y'all have shown us here in this series and in all the series altogether. It's been crazy. We're up over 250 subscribers now, which I can say I never thought would happen as quickly as it did. So thank y'all very much. Thank y'all for joining us in this episode. We're going to go ahead and get caught up to our next Xfinity race, which will be in Talladega, and that will be in the next episode, everybody. So I will see y'all then. So as always, stay safe, and well, y'all know how it goes by now, right? Later, y'all.